What is up, you guys? We are back here with another video, and for today's video we are going to be trying to mount this motor onto this mini bike frame. And before we get into it, let me just tell you, so when you have this motor on a pit bike, it does have brackets holding it up here from the top, two more holes like a bracket here in the bottom, in the back side, and it has 4 in the bottom. So since we don't have a pit bike, that is not the same way we're going to mount it. What I'm going to try to utilize is these 4 in the bottom right here and see if the motor is stable enough. I don't think that's going to be stable enough once it's actually running, so I might have to weld some brackets from the top here and utilize these brackets, but that'll be in another later video. We're just going to do the bottom ones here first and see how it turns out. All right guys, so I went ahead and put the engine kind of where I wanted it, and one thing that I am going to say I'm running into an issue is, since the motor on the pit bike is a little slanted, it does have a gap in the front motor mounts here in the bottom. The bottoms are fine, but the front ones I am probably just gonna run some washers or maybe a spacer, maybe lift the motor up so it can be flat. But that's kind of where I want it, and I already drew up some holes to put it on the frame, so I know where to drill. Let's go ahead and do that. All right guys, so I finished drilling the holes for the motor mount, the bottom ones at least, and I like how they came out, at least comparison to this. We're gonna see once the motor is on there, but like I said, these 2 bolts are kind of in the air, so I am gonna have to add some spacers or some like washers, something like that, to even out the motor, flatten it out. But I'm gonna go ahead and try to mock it up and see how the bolts lined up. You guys are not gonna believe it. I actually got it first try. Let me go ahead and show you. So I have the 3. This bolt right here on this side is a little bit not long enough, because like I said, the gap right here in between the motor and the frame is a little bit high, and the motor mounts that it originally came with are pretty short, so that one is not in yet. But they all actually lined up so perfect, and like right now I haven't bolted it down, it's just hand tight. It is actually sitting there pretty damn sturdy. The only problem now that I'm coming across, like I said, is not even in the bottom, but the oil drain bolt is right there hitting the frame, and also this here, I think that's for the timing chain. So I am gonna raise it up a little bit, but I also want to drill out a hole for that drain bolt, because when I do want to do oil changes, I could just access it from underneath the frame, loosen it, and drain the oil. So that will be a pretty good little thing to do, and it'll clear up some space from here. So I'm probably gonna hit it with a drill, a bigger drill bit here, maybe hit it with the angle grinder, knock this out so the frame or the motor could sit a little bit more down. So we're gonna go ahead and try to do that. But honestly, this thing is coming out really good. It's pretty solid. Might hold up, but I don't think so. And the sprocket here is actually lined up pretty damn good here, and I like how the shifter lever is also sticking out from the frame, so it's looking promising so far. So I went ahead and took the motor off, and I finished drawing up where I kind of want to make the holes. So I thought I was going to hit it with the drill bit, but I don't have one that big. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just hit it with the angle grinder, try to do it as best as I can. It's not going to come out like professional, but this is going to be the square. I made it a little bit bigger than the drain bolt, just so I can get a wrench in there from underneath the frame when I do oil changes. So I made it a little bit bigger just to access that. And this is for the timing chain, I believe, the bolt that goes there. This, I just am going to cut it out just so the frame can kind of lean forward to even out a little bit. See if that helps, so I don't have to put as big of a spacer or washers underneath these bolts. So let's go ahead and cut those out as best as I can. All right, as you guys can see, I went ahead and cut out the square that I drew up. I know it didn't come out pretty as promised. It was gonna be ugly, but it does work. We're gonna check right now. And also this one for the chain tensioner bolt, I could get it a little bit bigger, but it is actually pretty hard to drill through. So I'm gonna see if this can fit like that. If I do need to make it bigger, I will, but I'm gonna test fit the motor and see if it lines up, if we can run it like that. All right guys, so I went ahead and mounted the motor, and as you can see, this actually clears, and so does this hole that I made. This hole I probably will make it a little tiny bit bigger because it is hitting, but I don't know if you can see there, it is actually bolted on and it is really secure. Like, it's not super tight, but look at that, this thing is solid. The whole bike is literally moving. So this motor is actually pretty mounted good on here. I might still make a bracket maybe from here, the bottom, just maybe on the sides, or maybe one up here from the top to the frame, but we're gonna see if we need that. But look at that, even the chain aligned so perfectly. I know I could still move it with the lock collars here, but it looks like we might not even need to do that because look at the alignment. It just looks so perfect right there. All right, so I know I showed you guys the motor already, but just want to show you on this side here, I do have the motor mounted on there. So you can see this whole thing moves as one unit. It is now bolted down. Surprisingly, everything lined up perfect. It was like a hair off of here. As you can see, it is so close to touching, but all around, even the pipe, look at that. I haven't tightened it down, but it's gonna clear. It's a hair away. Thankfully, nothing is rubbing or hitting. The closest side is over here on this side. Let me go ahead and show you. Oh, and also the chain lines up perfect. Look at this side here. So the head is really close to the motor, or sorry, to the frame. So the head and the frame are so close, but thankfully it still clears, doesn't touch. The only problem I am gonna have, which is gonna be super simple, is this gear shifter. So just to have it closer to the peg, I'm probably just gonna make a shorter one just from here, just straight out, and then probably remove this foot brake over here to this side where it doesn't bother, or else they're both gonna just be kind of side by side and you can't shift with the brake in the way. So that is all I have for you guys today in this video. If you guys want to see more, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and see this build get complete. And if you guys are enjoying these videos, go ahead and give me a like. Peace.